Alright, so today I think we're going to talk about death. Alright? I I don't find myself thinking about it all the time, but more or less like one of the perspectives I have on it. Right? And it might tie into something else if I remember it by the time I get there. But I believe that in order for someone to actually like pass on, whether no matter where they think they're going or what have you, they have to I have the way that I say it is they have to like sign off on their own death, right? And I believe that because like there's some people that survive some miraculous and some absolutely horrific things, right? Like people surviving getting both legs blown off in war. Meanwhile, someone else the same age can, like, let's say like mid 20s, lose both their legs and they survive. But then another 25-year-old can fall off of like a 5 foot ladder and die almost instantly, right? And I think it has to do with they have to be okay with dying, right? They have to essentially let go. Now, in how was it? Now, in these like in this thought, it's one of those like there can be a lot of things that could make a person let go and say okay, right? But there can be equally as many things making them cling to life, making them hold on, right? Um, a lot of the times, whenever like there are people suffering, they're people say that they're fighting, they're fighters, they're this, they're that. And that's kind of how I think about it, right? Because you can have people, while entirely incapacitated, fighting for their life and like they don't even know it, right? Meanwhile, it's more of a being okay with dying, right? Like someone who truly is fine with it can essentially pass on from anything, right? Meanwhile, the people who are clinging to life for one reason or another are the ones that stick with life. They are the ones that end up living the longest. The saying "only the good die young" is around for a reason, right? Now, obviously, it's not entirely true, um, but it is there for a reason because a lot of the times, those that end up dying young are the ones that are the most okay with it, and the people that are the most okay with it tend to be the better ones, right? I'm going to say like not necessarily the patron saints, but like the nice people, the people that are okay with it, that are all right, like they have already I'm going to say seceded to their own mortality, right? Meanwhile, those that are not okay with it, that refuse to let go of their mortality, who refuse to give up on anything, it takes them forever to let go. They seem to live the longest, right? Um, and I think it has a lot to do with that, right? Because like even in your incapacitated state, more than likely you can still feel everything, right? So if you are in an immense amount of pain due to just losing your legs, a lot of people would probably give into that, right? And I have a couple of stories, well, a couple of things that go through my head, right? Like some absolutely like they're heartbreaking experiences, but they show just how much the human body can push itself through until it's okay. Such as I remember hearing a story about a woman. Now, this is from that woman's passenger, mind you. And this is a story I'm giving no names and not really much context because, in case somebody finds this, I don't want someone being mad, right? Um, that the person I was talking to, it was the person driving them. They got into a car accident. And car flipped, and the driver ended up being ejected out of one of the windows, right? And the driver, who ended up passing on after this accident, right? The passenger remember waking up to see the driver like their legs entirely immobile, not able to be used, clawing their way to the car to check to see if their child was okay. Now, their child was not with them at the time, but they didn't remember that. So essentially, they saw the car seat and immediately went, "I need to make sure that my child is okay." And then, as pretty much as soon as the passenger said that their child was okay, they died almost immediately. Like they just slumped over, pretty much. And that to me, like hearing that, now obviously that's a very traumatizing event for the person that was telling it. But at the same time, like it's an example of people can get through anything as long as they push themselves through it, right? Like, and that's more or less my take on everything because it's the same with like I even had an aunt who she passed away some time ago, but like she lived up until she was 95. And she passed on because she ended up breaking her hip, right? And it wasn't immediate. She hung on and hung on and hung on, and my family said that like she they thought that she was ready to go at any moment, but it wasn't until she essentially made peace with her own death that she finally passed on, right? Now, mind you, from their description, I didn't get to see her much. I got to see her a couple of times right after it happened, but then she slowly devolved, like she regressed mentally, physically, everything. But it wasn't until essentially the way they put it is until she made peace with God that she actually passed on. Um, Now, I don't truly believe in the whole God stuff, but that's a whole different topic. Um, and I'm okay with them believing in God. Don't take anything like that out of context. Them believing in God is for them and good for them, right? It's just not for me. But either way, like I hear a lot of examples, or even like another person in my life who had gotten into a really bad accident, years and years ago, and essentially just them clinging on like they shouldn't have survived that car accident, but they did for essentially no other reason than just because they weren't ready to go, right? And then another one who died here somewhat recently died really, really young from a heart attack. And it's like it makes no sense until you look at everything, right? Or to me, until you look at everything and you go, clearly, whenever someone is ready to go, no matter what pushes them to that extent, right? That is when they're finally able to go. Now, I don't think that they can just be all like, okay, I'm ready to go, and then just fall over. There has to be some sort of circumstance to allow for that, right? Such as like a heart attack or, like a brain hemorrhage or a car accident or something like that. Like the possibility needs to be there in order for them to, give the sign off, as I'm saying. But for the most part, I think that that's how death works. That's how I see it, right? Um, Obviously, there's no true way to know because even people who have had near-death experiences and stuff like that, a lot of those can be written off as hallucinations, right? Our brains are very powerful things that it can do pretty much anything. Your brain controls what you experience in the world, right? So if you're on the verge of death, it could do literally anything to you, and you can't and to you it's real because like your brain is the one showing and doing and seeing everything, even though to the rest of us it's not actually there, right? So some people take those kind of things for not for granted, but like they see those and they go, ah, yes, this makes sense, and then they plug it into how they see the world, and they can do that. Like I'm not going to refute them because it's really compelling evidence. Essentially, some of it where like there are I don't know if it's the doctors or if scientists or whatever, where like people like either there's something on like the back of a door right before someone goes into a near death operation, such as like they have to slow their heartbeat down like a lot or stop it entirely, where there's like a sign on the back of a door or like a mirror somewhere or something like above the roof or something that they've never seen, and those people are able to see and what you call it and not explain it like explain in great detail. Damn, what those items are and what those things are whenever they've never seen them before, right? And the fact that they have knowledge of them and they can reference and fully explain what they are, that's really compelling evidence to me. Being all like, maybe there is a soul, maybe there is some merit to all of this, but at the same time, it can still, like I said, be explained as hallucinations, right? Because until I have been there to see the entire thing. Like they might just be saying, "Hey, there's a sign on the back of this door, and it reads some words that maybe say this," or maybe like as they're coming out of it, like their eyes open for a moment, and then like their brain can like take a snapshot of it or something. Like there's a lot of things. Like until I'm there and see how the entire thing goes, to know that they literally have not seen it from start to finish, and then they can explain it in exquisite detail. Then that's proof to me, right? But because I don't have that proof, I don't know. But to others, that might be enough proof, and that's fine. That's okay. They can have that as enough proof, right? I'm not going to sit here and argue with them because, in all honesty, that kind of stuff doesn't matter. But the other thing that I was thinking about that these thoughts kind of led into is, so I was literally just before I started recording listening to a song. I think it's "Let Me Down" by, is it Nick Fabian? Give me a second. Yeah, it's by Nick Fabian. "Let Me Down." It's one of my favorite songs ever. It is a song that it doesn't matter what I'm doing, how I'm feeling, whatever. It will make me cry. Not necessarily full like ugly cry, but like I will have tears rolling down my face, no matter what I'm doing or how I'm feeling, and it'll always be like, oh, I'm crying now. Um, and it's a song essentially questioning or saying what this person feels can break a man. All right, and I love this song dearly because in the song they essentially say the only thing that can really break a man is him feeling like he's not living up to his fullest potential. And it is just, to me, it's exquisite. And I honestly really sympathize with that and I see that. So, to me, like, seeing where you're going, where you're heading, who you are, where you've been, right? And then looking forward and going, I'm not where I want to be. I'm not who I want to be. I'm not how I want to be, can be extremely demoralizing. And to tie it back a little bit to what I was just talking about, right? Like, if you are feeling down and out, if you are feeling like a worthless piece of shit, if you are feeling terrible and you think that you are not where you need to be and you can never get to where you can be, it can really diminish not just your life, but it could potentially cut it short in my view. Because if you're looking around and it's just all terrible, and then I'm going to say God forbid again, I don't really believe in God, but that's just words of sentiment, right? That have been drilled into my head because I was raised in a religious household. But God forbid that it happens that they come up with a circumstance that it might cut them short because in that circumstance they feel like shit. They feel like nothing will improve. They feel like nothing is going to get better and that they aren't able to reach what they think they can. So at that point, what's the point? They could just let go. And I feel like that's why there are, I'm going to say, a lot of younger people dying nowadays. Again, this is speculation. No proof. Please don't just take my word for it and go, ah, this, he makes sense, and then make some sort of weird conspiracy theory around it. But I do feel like that's what a lot of these young deaths can be attributed to is they are feeling unfulfilled or they feel like they will never be fulfilled. And then if their life comes upon a circumstance where they may be able to just let go, they just choose to let go, even though they're how do I say it? Even though it doesn't seem like they should, with all of our medical knowledge, with all of our everything, they just die from some very obscenely like rare circumstance nowadays, being all like I'm gonna say like a heart attack at the age of 38. To me, like obviously, there's a lot of things that could cause it, but like they have a heart attack at 38 and they die from it. To me, that's unheard of. You have it at 38 and you're probably going to live to have two more before you actually pass away from it. At least that's how I see it, how I look like from everything I've seen and heard over the years. Like you'll probably live until you're still like 70. Um but to die from the first one at 38, I feel like it has to do with just someone letting go, right? And I've been rambling about this, talking in circles now for a while. Um, I recommend listening to that song. I might link it somehow, maybe just link it in the description. But it is an absolutely wonderful song. I think it's so heartfelt, and anytime it comes on, I fucking belt it out from the goddamn rooftops because it is wonderful. But I think that's gonna wrap it up for this video. Sorry that it was a little bit, I'm gonna say morbid. Some people might see it as morbid. Fucking being a snake. But oh wait, please don't. Okay. My mic is on. I was about to be so devastated because I forgot to check it again. Okay, but that'll be it for this one. Thanks for watching. See ya.